Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and I'm here to talk about Dumplin by Julie Murphy for the Reblog Book Club. In this video I will just be talking about chapters 1 through 19, so if you haven't read the book at all, there won't be any major spoilers in this video because I've only read the first 19 chapters. So just as a really quick synopsis, you are following this girl named Willow Dean. She is called Will for short. She is a fat girl. She calls herself fat. She's in high school and just dealing with all of the self-conscious issues that come with being a bigger girl. She ends up working at this fast food restaurant and develops a crush on one of the guys that works there named Bo. In the beginning of the book, or in this first part of the book, they are kind of dating. I mean, they're basically just like hooking up after shifts, but they aren't really telling anyone else about it. They're keeping it all a secret. There's also a lot of stuff going on between her and her best friend named Elle, I believe. They mention that the best friend is basically, tall, blonde, and gorgeous, and she has a boyfriend, and Will just really wants what they have, which is just like this companionship and this connection with someone else. And even though all of this is kind of utilized as the central plot of the story, the part that's most interesting to me is the relationship between her mom, and her aunt. Her mom is in charge of the Miss Teen Blue Bonnet pageant, I believe that's what it's called. And it's disclosed in the first part of this book that her mom used to be a bigger girl and then basically just like shed the pounds. She recently has passed away and the mom and Will are still sort of dealing with her death a little bit. And I think that this whole dynamic is just so interesting to me, partially because it's nice to see how Will remembers her aunt and sees her as sort of like an inspiration of what it's like to live in this world while being someone who is overweight. There's a little bit of a discussion of how Aunt Lucy would spend a lot of time at home. She wouldn't go out very often. She had anxiety and difficulties just being out in the world, being a bigger woman. The world isn't, very nice or very accommodating to people who are bigger. So Aunt Lucy would spend a lot of her time inside. But there's also a scene in this book that Will remembers where it's when Will's a kid and she is trying dance classes for the first time and she gets very anxious and kind of doesn't want to go into the class because she knows she doesn't look like the other girls. Aunt Lucy takes Will to the lesson and basically has a sit down and talks to her about the fact that she can't let the fact that she doesn't look like other girls stop her from doing the things that she wants to do and the things that she wants to try. And she says, like, you have to at least try, and if you don't like it after you try it, it's fine if you don't do it, but you can't let the world stop you from doing the things that you are interested in just because you're bigger. The other part of this book that just really appeals to me is often just Will's inner dialogue about herself and the way that she looks and the way that she sees other people. Parts of this book talk about how she just feels really uncomfortable in certain situations and how she can't even talk to her best friend about it because her best friend will never really truly understand what it's like. And a lot of those conversations were like uncomfortably real because I've definitely had those same thoughts in my head about myself and my friends. I have friends who are like super skinny, like they're just naturally skinny girls, and it was always a weird experience for me being friends with them and like going shopping at the mall with them because the things that they would want to try on or the clothes that they liked were never really the clothes that I necessarily would gravitate towards because they just wouldn't look right in my body. I always felt weird shopping with them as well because I just didn't want other people to know what my size was when they're 0, 2s, and 4s and I'm not a 0, 2, or 4. It was always an awkward experience for me just to have the conversation of what my weight is and what my size is with them. And I knew that they weren't necessarily going to judge me harshly for it, but at the same time it just felt like an embarrassing fact about myself. And I think that idea is just very honestly covered in this book in a way that makes me almost uncomfortable because I'm not quite at the level of confidence that I would like to be. So yeah, I'm really interested to just see where this book ends up going. She hasn't even like decided to join the pageant yet as of this point in the book, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'm imagining all of this being like a Hairspray type scenario, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this goes, and it'll be interesting to see how Will ends up handling all these situations, just because the way that Will is viewing and discussing and thinking about the world right now is very honest, and I'm very interested to see what her perception is like once she's in the pageant and what her perception will be like towards the end of the book and what the whole like resolution will be. So yeah, those are my quick thoughts on Dumplin so far. If you've read this book or if you're participating in the Reblog Book Club, feel free to leave your comments down below letting me know what you guys think of it so far. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.